This is Cooper Byron. I'm right outside of the Old Town Library in my car, and I'm about to head in. Let's see how this goes. Slightly more going on today than I thought there would be. As I took my walk through the Old Town Library, getting a lay of the land, I met Kristen Draper.
My name's Kristen Draper, I use she, her pronouns, and I am the manager of the Old Town Library, Poudre River Public Library District.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
If I could ask, what's your kind of day-to-day look like?
Oh, that is such a good question. One of the reasons I love this job is because there is no day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every day is different. So, you know, this morning we had even before we opened, it was like, okay, I reached out to Outreach Fort Collins to say we had somebody who was at the front of the library who was agitated and needed some assistance. So you just never know. You never know what's going to happen. So
Between Kristen and the staff, I had a wonderful welcome, not to mention just my initial reaction to the environment was just peaceful. So first impressions of walking in, there is a lot of deep blues and sort of darker colors. It really brings in the atmosphere. It really makes you feel relaxed. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. They have a deep cushioned couch through most of it. All the seats seem very cushioned. It's a very comforting place, I'd say, at least to me. The air doesn't feel thick with conversation or anything. There's light conversation throughout most of the building, which I wasn't expecting. But honestly, that was very emotionally reassuring to enter. After meeting Kristen and taking my walk inside, I decided to look around their walking paths they have around the building, and that's where I met Buddy.
Sit down?
Yeah, we can totally sit down. That would be wonderful.
Sit down. What's your name?
I'm Cooper.
I'm Buddy.
Nice to meet you.
You as well, sir.
So, I was wondering what brought you to the library today, mostly.
I am a homeless person,
Sure.
and this is the only place that we can charge our phones up.
Mm-hmm.
So I come here and I charge my phone up.
Buddy went on to explain to me how necessary it was for him to have access to the library. Charging his phone was a complete necessity, and they even helped him out with several other services as well.
Can't do computers, you know. I've tried twice up here. I just can't figure out this world of technology. And the same thing with my phones. I have a hard time. So that, is not a necessity for me. So really just the electricity. I found that there's a restroom over here, so I don't have to come here to use the restroom, which is nice.
But just nice to have that sort of resource to you.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, I came up here and they did my taxes. So I was grateful for that.
Oh, wonderful.
You know, I could do it. I just couldn't send it because I couldn't put in last year's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But through this people here, they were able to do it. You know,
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so.
you know, when we're talking about like the VITA tax services, those are all volunteer, income tax assisted something rather, volunteers, I think is what they call them. And they do this phenomenal job. We work with them just by giving them space, but people can come in and, have their taxes done by somebody who actually knows how to do taxes for free as a service in the library.
Talking to Buddy really opened my eyes to everyone around me, and after having a look around, I really did see that there were all kinds of people here, those in need of resources who didn't necessarily have access to them, and those who were just looking to read the newspaper. Everyone from all shapes and sizes and nationalities and classes and everything to that regard was here.
Yeah, I mean, we like to think of ourselves as we welcome everybody, right? All you need to do is follow the behavior rules. So whether or not you're housed or unhoused, whether you have money, don't have money, it doesn't matter when you're here. It's just following those behavior rules. And so one of the things that we do pride ourselves is being able to offer everything to everyone. Mm-hmm. So people, they always look at us and say, oh, I would love to be a librarian. I just get to sit and read all day. And you're like, oh, that is so not what we do.
That is not the job anymore.
It is not the job anymore. In the public library, we have a little bit of everything. So people are still coming in to gather their information. They're still coming in to get good resources to, whether it's using Consumer Reports or reading the newspaper or just gathering information on, watercoloring or whatever it is. So they're still coming in to gather that information. And it's also the community hub. So it's when we have the programs and when we have story times and, learning about the solar eclipse and that sort of thing. So we're always hosting those kinds of programs as well for people to, both gather as a community member and learn or experience something new. Libraries right now, particularly in larger cities, urban areas, which this is in between, but if you go to Denver, what you'll see is that there's a lot of social work that goes into librarianship now, and so we weren't trained. I know I wasn't trained as a social worker. So now I'm just, do a specific de-escalation training. We're having an assertiveness training so we can talk, make sure that we do set boundaries, so for those people who do try and cross those boundaries, we can be like, no, that's not a library question. What type of library question can I help you with? It's different. I know people, they always look at us and say, oh, I would love to be a librarian. I just get to sit and read all day. And you're like, oh, that is so not what we do.
That is not the job anymore.
It is not the job anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh. But he told me the other major reason he came around was for pleasure reading, even though that's not something he necessarily can do very well anymore.
I can't read anymore. I don't have the attention anymore.
It can be difficult. I totally get that.
They put me on Adderall.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't read. But I have to get off of it because of heart condition. So maybe I'll go back to the other one and I'll be able to read again. I'm a Louis L'Amour guy. Louis L'Amour, Western writer.
Oh, wonderful.
From like the 60s. And, he's very old. So he's not alive anymore. But, he was, if you look him up, he's very world renowned. He has had many different jobs. He's been a sailor. He's been a farmer. And it's amazing some of the stuff that he's done. He got shipwrecked, I think, as well. Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Kristen also had her own book recommendations.
I'm supposed to be reading Tom Patchett for my, I know what it was. It was from my book club. I was supposed to be reading that. Not done much of that. It was Stupid Shit I Won't Do When I Get Old. That was the book.
Stupid Shit I Won't Do When I Get Old. Well, now I have to check that out.
Yes, it's awesome. So it's a series of essays that he's a comedian. Well, I think he's a comedian. But he started when he was like in his 50s, and he's like, when my parents do this, they drive me crazy, and you see old people doing this, and it makes me crazy. And he kept sort of a diary through going into his 60s, and then in his 60s he was like, I do that. And he's like, so this is, the stuff that you sort of go, I won't do that when I get old, but you have to accept that you probably will, versus the stuff that you're like, please don't do that when you get old.
I hope you've come to the same conclusion I have, in that libraries are more valuable than you previously thought. I want to say thank you for listening, and thank you for joining me for this adventure. This is Cooper in the car. I think Buddy says it best, so I'll leave it to him to end it.
So libraries are very important, especially if you're a student,